All right. Welcome to Electric Vehicle Weekly. This week we are going to talk about the Hyundai software update. The Volkswagen ID.3 is going to get a facelift for 2023. Bosch, one of the world's largest auto part supplier, is jumping into the EV game. And we're going to also talk about Rivian's latest over-the-air update. And then we're going to finish things off with talking about 18 future electric trucks. Some we know of that are on their way, and some that we don't know much about, and they may not ever make it to the US or even get built, but we'll check them out, see how they go. When you come into the chat, let me know where you're from, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the Hyundai update. And so what it is the Ioniq 5 and the Ioniq 6 are going to get an update to add battery preconditioning to help the charging in cold weather. So that is a big thing for them. We're assuming that Kia is going to the EV6 will also get that update since they all kind of run together. So it's going to really make a huge difference when you get ready to go to a charger to charge, because if your battery is too cold, then it's not going to charge at its optimal speed. So this preconditioning is really going to help them maximize that high charging rate that they are able to get. Um, as we go through, if you guys have any questions or comments on anything, just pop it in the chat and I will catch up to it. I will even go back and pick some up, even if we're past that news thing. But at the end of the show, we will also, any questions or anything like that, pop them in the chat and we will have a discussion. All right. So our next thing is going to be the Ioniq 3 facelift. So the Ioniq 3 is going to get a facelift for 2023. And we don't have a whole lot of information, but what we have heard and we're pretty sure is going to happen because of a lot of complaints by customers is that the buttons on the steering wheel will be going back to physical buttons instead of the haptic buttons. There's been a lot of people complaining that they're accidentally hitting buttons, accidentally switching things, and so I think Volkswagen has decided that maybe on the steering wheel, it's probably a better idea to have the buttons. They didn't say anything about the dash, so the dash may still have the touch buttons, but hopefully the steering wheels go back to physical buttons for those who have orders for the 2023. The other thing is that they are planning to put better quality interior materials in it. There were a lot of people that complained about the materials being feeling cheap or looking cheap, and and I don't know about how it was with the ID4, because our ID4 was really nice. We don't have any complaints about the materials that are in there; they're all pretty good. Um, but there's also been rumors that I think it's Skoda Enyaq actually looked nicer on the inside than what like the ID4 did. So I'm guessing it's probably a similar thing with the ID3. And the Skoda is supposed to be you know, the underneath brand of Volkswagen, not the above brand of Volkswagen. So they're probably going to try to make things a little bit nicer for everybody. Okay. That was that was just a little touch on it. I know we don't have the ID3 here. That is, in Europe, but there are, people from Europe that watch Facebook or I watch YouTube, and sometimes I'm broadcasting on Facebook, so maybe they'll see me on Facebook. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Bosch. Now, Bosch So Bosch is the world's largest auto parts supplier, and they are now producing electric products for electric vehicles and EV manufacturers, including Tesla, Ford, GM, and now Rivian. So Bosch has started producing electric drive motors for Rivian. They claim that its electric motors are 98% efficient, and they deliver anywhere from 50 kilowatts to 500 kilowatts, which is the equivalent of 67 horsepower to 670 horsepower, and 150 newton meters to 1,000 newton meters of torque, which is the equivalent of about 110 to 737 foot-pounds of torque. So those motors seem like they are pretty stout. I don't know if the motors that they're producing are for the R1T's individual four motors on its wheels, or if they are the ones that are going to be producing the two electric drive motors for the future R1Ts that are coming out that are supposed to be at that lower price point. That I didn't get any clarification on. But it looks like it's a pretty good deal for Bosch, and Bosch does say that there are other manufacturers that they are producing for other than the ones that I've already named. So it's a good deal for Bosch. It's pretty cool. I didn't realize that they were the largest auto parts supplier. I was really surprised when I heard that. But it doesn't surprise me. They're pretty much everywhere. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Rivian's update for the R1T and the R1S. Now they get Neil mode. Now, Neil mode, basically, it just lowers the truck or the SUV down to its lowest setting so it's easier for you to get in and out, or your kids get in and out, or if you have older parents or grandparents that you're trying to get in. It makes it a lot easier for just everybody to get in, and then it will adjust itself back to whatever setting that you have it set on. It's a pretty cool feature, and it does get pretty low. Some of these pictures you can see the wheels are almost inside the wheel well, so it will be make a huge difference in getting in and out of the vehicle. Now I'm 6 foot, and when I had the Rivian, I didn't have any problem getting into it at normal. But when I had it raised up for off road, it gets up there. It's a little harder to get in. I could still do it, but a little step would have been nice at that high. There's a picture of the high setting right there, and you see how high that is compared to that person. I don't know how tall they are, but it was over their head, the top of the truck. And then here you see a picture of it lowered down all the way. So you can see that there's a huge difference in gap from all the way up to down to the bottom. So that'll make that easier for everyone. Okay, and we are going to finish up this week. Now, this here is going to be interesting because there's a lot of trucks that we already know about that are not come out yet. And we also know there's a lot out there that we don't know about that are concepts that just, may not ever, yeah, I don't know. I don't may not ever make it to market, I guess you want to say. So we are going to start out with the we're going to start out with the Ram. How about we start out with the Ram 1500 EV? So it is projected for 2024. Plan to have a 300 to 400 mile range and be able to charge at least 150 kilowatts. And it's going to actually be debuting in November. So next month, we're actually going to get to see the concept of this. And it's supposed to, I don't know if it's going to be at the LA Auto Show or where they're going to debut it, but it is supposed to be out there for all of us to see. And that'll be awesome. I hope that they'll start reservations then, but then I also hope that if they're going to do the same thing that GM has done and release their most expensive one first, then I hope they do like what GM just, or not GM, but what GMC did with the Sierra. And their high trim, you reserve the high trim, but you don't reserve the other trims below it until they are released. When they release that next trim level, then you'll reserve for that next trim level. So that way they know who's wanting what and what the demand for each trim level is. Makes it a lot easier for them to get the parts in and everything. So, because Ford really screwed that up. All right, so our next one, and we've been waiting on this one for a while. We still haven't seen much of it, but the Cybertruck. So the Tesla Cybertruck is supposed to be coming out sometime around the mid of 2023. We'll see. We might get another message from Elon that it'll be next year, just like it has been the last couple of years. But there has been one thing that did see that they said Elon had changed on the truck, and instead of it going having a tri-motor setup, it is going to go to a quad motor design, similar to the Rivian. So that will actually make it faster, probably be able to tow more. I don't know what else it can affect, but it's going to make it, I think, a lot easier, a lot better for the Cybertruck. I think they decided that instead of trying to just outdo Ford, that maybe they want to outdo Rivian because Rivian's truck pretty much outdoes the Lightning. So we'll see what their plans are for that. There's a few things that they did want to include that they added, or is going to be on the Cybertruck, and that is the yoke steering, which, you either like a yoke steering wheel or you don't. I've never actually tried to drive with one yet, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but it just looks weird. And then we've got they said they were going to have a touch operated door locks. So I think this is something similar to what some of the other EVs and other car companies have done, where there's a button, or not really a button, but there's this place to touch on the outside of the car that locks the car. Our ID.4, we have a little triangle. We hit touch that triangle, and it locks the doors and folds in the mirrors. That's what it sounds like to me. I may be wrong. It may be something different. The next thing they have is a digital instrument cluster. They're going to have air suspension, and they're claiming 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds and a 500-mile range. So that's more range than the Rivian. Speed there is about the same as what the Rivian is. The Rivian, I think, is rated 0 to 60 at 3 seconds. So um, at least we got a little bit more information on that. And I think it was a week or two ago, I did a report on they saw two covered what looked like Cybertrucks outside of Giga Texas. So they might be working on and getting closer to producing those. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is, of course, um, the Chevy Silverado. Now, Mike says the electric truck revolution is happening, and if Atlas can make it to market and meet their claims, it would be amazing. I have seen the Atlas truck. It's one of those things where it's kind of strange with Atlas because you see what they're doing, and you see what Atlas is doing, and you see them trying to raise money, and it's just like constantly asking for money, and they keep talking about this truck. Um, but what I think is going to happen is what a lot of people have been talking about is their battery chemistry and their battery technology, and that may end up coming to market before the truck actually is able to come to market. Okay, let's go back here. And so the Silverado. A lot of information on Silverado because we've known about it for a while. They just haven't produced them yet. So they're looking at early 2023. They're going to start producing the work truck. Bad news is that work truck is only for fleet customers. So the work truck is not going to be available for regular consumers. You will have to wait for the Trail Boss, which I don't know. Maybe they'll add another trim in that'll be similar to the work truck. Maybe just have be a little bit beefier or a little bit more consumer friendly. But they haven't mentioned that. The only other thing, other than this one that they've got here, which is going to be the first one, is the RST First Edition. That one, of course, is $105,000, and then the next one they have will be just the regular RST, because it won't be a first edition, just be a regular RST. I don't know if that's going to be any cheaper. It might be, but probably not. And but then the other one is the Trail Boss, and there's no ETA on the Trail Boss trim. It's going to have two battery pack options. Of course, the smaller battery pack is probably going to be on the work truck, but the largest one is going to be a 200 kilowatt hour battery with about 400 miles of range. Charging is going to be up to 350 kilowatts because it's going to be on that Ultium platform. They're saying 100 miles in 10 minutes of charging, so that'll be awesome. You just top off somewhere on your way real quick and head on out. That'd be a great deal. Especially if they start getting this new charging infrastructure in, and they're putting them in every 50 miles, like they say they have to or are supposed to be able to get this government money. Then be easy to top off real quick and then go through. But the downfall to those other chargers, though, are they are going to max out at 150 kilowatts, or they have to they're a minimum of 150 kilowatts. And it's going to be cheaper for them to put 150 kilowatt chargers in than 350. So I imagine that all these 50-mile ones are going to be 150 kilowatts. And there's also, I don't think there's any restriction on how many they have to have. I think they have to have, I think maybe at least four, but I'm not positive on that. So back to Silverado. Now, these are earlier numbers. They're saying 664 horsepower and 780 foot-pounds of torque, but I just heard the other day that Chevy came out and basically matched what the GMC Sierra has. So that's 754 on the horsepower and 785 on the torque. So they're going to be built exactly the same. So that's why they raised their numbers. Apparently, they figured something out and wanted to bump it up a little bit more. 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. Does have bi-directional charging. 17-inch infotainment screen. 11-inch virtual instrument cluster. I'm not sure why they say virtual and not digital. I'm assuming it's just a digital cluster. And then it says a 14-inch heads-up display. Now, I don't know if that information I got was right or not, because it seems weird to have an 11-inch instrument cluster and a 14-inch heads-up display. So I'm not real sure on that. It says they have 170,000 reservations. I thought it was higher than that, but this report that I got, that's what that says. And like I said, the work truck is going to start production early 2023, but is not for consumers. The RST First Edition model will be late 2023 at about $105,000, and the Trail Boss and the regular RST don't have any ETA on those. Okay, so let's move on to what do we want to talk? Which one do we want to talk about? Oh, so now this next one is going to be something that is a concept. Actually haven't produced a concept yet, but this is the Fisker Alaska. Now, Fisker, of course, is just now starting to build their Fisker Ocean. It starts on November 17th, so we'll see when those start coming out. They've already announced the Pear and the Ronin. So this Alaska is really not expected to even be talked about too much before 2025. So we've got a little time to wait on that one. I think it looks pretty cool. I think I would probably put a reservation on one. If they continue to work with Magna or using Magna motors and stuff like that, I would definitely jump on that. I hope they do what Rivian has done and put in like an air suspension and a four-wheel motors and stuff like that. I just think they just need to have that little extra. Being a startup, and this truck will be coming late to the market, so they're going to really need to do something to set themselves apart. They are projecting around a $50,000 to $60,000 price point on it, which sounds kind of about right. But being 2025, we're looking at 2 years from now, almost 3 years, just over 2 years from now. I'm guessing that price might go up some just because of inflation. Okay, well, let's move to. Let's see. Oh, we're going to talk about the GMC Sierra, which I hit on a couple weeks ago when they first released it. So it will be coming in 2024. It's going to have a 400-mile range, 754 horsepower, 785 torque, 9,500 tow max, and a 1,300 payload capacity. So the features that it's going to have on it is a multi-pro mid-gate, which is the gate that folds down inside of the cab, so you have extra cargo area, which I really am not a big fan of. I just think eventually that thing's going to start leaking, and it's going to rain one day, and you're going to have water inside your cab because it flowed from the bed into your cab. It's also going to have an e-trunk, is what they're calling their front trunk. Adjustable regen. That is awesome. I think it's great that they're going to have adjustable regen. My wife and I, we were just driving the Rivian, and its regen was a lot stronger than our ID.4, and you couldn't turn it off. You either had standard or you had like heavy. I mean, when you turn the heavy one on, it about pushed through you into the dash. So hopefully, I like the idea that they are doing this adjustable regen, because some people that are new, especially if you got a lot of new gas people coming over to an electric truck and they're not used to having one pedal driving and that's all you have, it's automatic regen all the time, you know. It's really going to take them some time to get adjusted to that. It's much better to have different levels of regen so they can kind of work themselves into it, and then they start realizing that, hey, I need to get more range and whatever, then they'll start using the stronger regen. So that's a good idea by GM on that. It's going to have, it does say one pedal driving with adjustable regen, rear steering with crab walk. So you don't have to get a GMC Hummer to get crab walk. You'll be able to get this Sierra Denali and crab walk. Now they cost about the same. So apparently that crab walk makes it $100,000 vehicle. The near, what's it say? Rear steering with crab walk. We got panoramic roof. That's nice. You got 24-inch wheels, which we can see here in this picture, and 35-inch tires. And then you're also going to get a 16.8-inch infotainment screen, an 11-inch digital instrument cluster with Super Cruise. And it is the Denali was taking reservations when it first went on. I believe they are sold out now, and that Denali first edition came in at $107,000. So it's $2,000 more than the Silverado. I think it looks a lot better than the Silverado or the Chevy Avalanche, whichever one you want to call it. What's we got here? Silver North says the manufacturers need to figure out how to make the trucks that do not lose so much range when towing. Yeah, I mean it really is something that they have to figure out. And I believe that they probably are trying to do that. They're probably trying to figure out a way for the electric motors to not have to work so hard or use as much energy coming from the battery. That's probably the best thing that they can do. Other than they're just going to keep putting bigger batteries in, and the bigger the battery is, the bigger the cost. So if you have a truck and you want to use it for towing, and you've got to have a 400 or 500 mile range on that, your truck is going to be $100,000 because the battery is so big and it costs so much. You know, our ID.4 88 kilowatt hour battery. I believe that is, or 82, I think it is. Maybe it's 82. I don't remember, 82 or 88. That battery to replace that, if we had to pay outright to replace that, we're looking at around $15,000. So 12 to 15, somewhere in that range. So if you look at these batteries that are like 200 kilowatt hour batteries, those things are probably pushing 20 grand just for the battery, if not higher. So, they really do need to work on that. And I think who's going to make a difference in that is probably going to be Magna. I'm not sure, which we were just talking about earlier, was Bosch making the motors for Rivian, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe Bosch will be able to figure something out. But maybe they ought to Bosch and Magna ought to get together and try to figure this out. Um, could could be EV enabled trailers, for instance. They would have their own batteries and maybe motors. Yeah, that is an option too. What if your trailer, like if you had your own personal trailer that you used a lot for towing, whether you're moving cattle or something like that, you have a battery pack that is attached to your trailer. And then some way that when you hook up your trailer lights and stuff like that, maybe there's a connector that you hook up to the trailer, and then that is your range booster. So you basically have a battery backup on your trailer. That is a good idea. Now you're going to be looking at trailer companies starting to sell trailers with battery backup on them. It's a good idea. You could probably even maybe get a trailer and have that trailer layered with solar panels, so the solar panels would charge the battery while you're driving or when it's sitting, so that battery on that trailer, you won't actually have to plug it in and charge it very often. Um, so it's a good idea. Maybe you ought to patent that, Silver North. Or maybe I'll try to beat you to it. All right, so the next one we're going to look at, get to my slides here. Um, all right. This is something new. Well, it's not really new. We've kind of heard about it, but this is talking about Ford's new electric truck platform. And they did talk about this when they released the Ford Lightning. It wasn't shortly after that they said they were looking at a dedicated platform for the trucks. And this platform will be for trucks and SUVs. So it's going to be called the TE1 platform, and it'll be designated, like I said, for trucks and SUVs. And they are looking at a new battery technology called Ion Boost Plus. I kind of read something about it, but I didn't see where it was any different than anything else other than maybe the chemical makeup of the batteries. But I couldn't see where it said something like you were getting better range or anything like that, or they lasted longer, anything like that. So I'm not really sure what that technology is going to be or what's going to come from it. Um, but they did also say that the new electric truck, when they produce it, it's going to have active and deployable aerodynamics for better efficiency. So I don't know exactly, and I don't think it's going to pop out a spoiler or anything, but you know how some of the other cars that we have seen that have a spoiler that is laid down, and once you hit a certain speed, that spoiler comes up. Could be something similar to that. I know they have active grille shutters because they're using that in the Mach E right now. Maybe that's something they're going to probably use. I'm not sure if they're using that on the Lightning or not. I'm not real sure what else they might do, but it's probably going to be something to help direct the air around the truck and up over the truck. So maybe there is a front spoiler, kind of like you would have a hood protector on there that once you hit a certain speed or as you gain speed, then it starts to tilt and direct the air up over the top more. I don't know. They didn't give a whole lot of information, so we get to just kind of guess around and make stuff up if we want to. Okay, so the next thing, this is going to be great if whenever it gets here, but how about a Ford Ranger Lightning or an electric Ford Ranger? I'm not sure if they're going to use the Lightning name and carry that on to some of the other electric platforms or if it's just going to be on the F-150. But this is the Ford electric truck that they are looking at. From what I can tell, a couple of these pictures are actual pictures, and then this red one I think is a rendering. But this blue truck I think is an actual truck that they produce that they're going to be working on. Um, it is supposed to be used on that new TE1 platform. And it is expected by the end of 2025. So we got quite a ways. That should be coming right around the time that they're thinking the Fisker Alaska ought to be out. I'm guessing that those two looked like they're probably going to be about the same size truck. So that'll be some good competition there. So now we're going to get into some that may come, may not come. You know, you get into some of those concepts and you're not sure whether it's something that they're going to do, whether they're just going to talk about it. But we are going to look at this is the Foxconn Model V. Now, when you see the front of this, when the slide changes, to me, it resembles the Lordstown truck. Now, Foxconn did buy the Lordstown plant in Ohio, and I don't know if this was done before then or if it was produced after, but this is a concept truck that they have produced. So you know, the body and stuff like that doesn't necessarily look like a Lordstown, but that front end really does look like the Lordstown. So maybe that is something they're going to do. They're just going to produce them side by side, and you've got your Lordstown, and then you've got this one, and they're basically going to be, you know, sister trucks or brother sister trucks, whatever you want to call it. Um, there's they claim that it's going to have 2,201 pounds of payload capacity, uh, 6,614 pounds of towing capacity, and it's supposed to compete with the Ford Ranger Lightning or the Ford Ranger Electric. Going to get a 260-mile range. Be able to charge from 20 to 80% in 30 minutes, and we should be seeing it in around 2024. It doesn't look like it's too bad. I mean, I like the looks of it better than the Lordstown. I mean, I didn't really care for the way the Lordstown looked. Okay, so a Toyota has decided to jump in the game also. Toyota, this is their electric Tacoma. Now, there's really no info. on it. It's expected by 2025, about the same time as the Ranger and the Alaska. It looks pretty cool. I like the looks of it. They have it a price range of 30 to 35,000, but we know that's not going to happen. At minimum, it'll be 40. It'll probably be 45 to 55, but again, by 2025, we're probably looking at 50 to 60. It does look like a Tacoma, though. I mean, they did keep the way it looks, the body lines and stuff like that. So that's neat. Uh, People, Toyota fans will be happy that it looks like a Toyota or looks like a Tacoma. All right, the next thing we're going to look at, and this is going to, people are going to like it or they don't because they already don't like it or they don't. And this is Hyundai's electric truck, basically based off of the Santa Cruz. So, or basically electrified the Santa Cruz. So, some people like the Santa Cruz, some don't. There's times where I see them and I'm like, it doesn't look too bad. My wife doesn't like it at all. Um, so that's kind of, that's your choice, your preference. Like these pictures don't look too bad. It kind of looks kind of neat. But then I've seen some others where it's like it looks like a car in the front and somebody like glued on a bed to it. So, all right. The next one is, and this is an actual truck right now. So they all they have to do is figure out how to electrify it, and that is the Volkswagen Amarok. It basically is a Volkswagen Ranger, more or less. It's Volkswagen's version of the Ford Ranger. So this is the electrified. This is a rendering here. There's a couple different pictures on here of what it could look like. Um, this one here, I don't like the front end of that one, but this here looks like it's based off of the ID.4 front end, the way that they're doing those lights in the logo. And then this one here looks a little bit different. So maybe they'll have a couple different versions. Maybe they'll have like this one here will be the base, and then that other one that we just saw might be a more off-roading model. So we'll just have to see what they do with that. I think it'll be pretty cool, but we probably won't get it here. It'll probably just be in Europe, I would assume. And then Europe doesn't do a whole lot with trucks, so it's probably going to end up in Australia, would be my guess. All right. Now, this is going to be the revival of the Scout. I don't know how many people remember the International Scout, but Volkswagen actually owns the rights to the Scout name now. And so this is what their renderings look like. And it looks an awful lot like a Rivian R1T and R1S. The front end of the SUV almost looks like a Ford Bronco, the new Ford Bronco shape. But here's a few renderings and stuff like that of it. Like I said, these are probably ones that um, may eventually make it to market, but we don't have a whole lot of information on. They're just saying they don't even have an estimated time frame. The Amarok is supposed to be around 2025. I forgot to say that, but the Scout, I don't know. Like I said, it looks like a Rivian. The SUV looks a lot like the R1S and a Bronco combination, or even a Land Rover. So we'll have to just see if this ever comes out. I think if they make it look like something else, people are really going to be upset. There's a lot of Scout, followers and traditionalists that are not going to like it if they make it too off the wall. Right. Next one is this is by VinFast. VinFast has just released their cars that are going to be coming to the U.S. and they're going to be starting to build some in the U.S. and that's the VF8 and the VF9 crossover small SUV, and then their full size 7-seater SUV. So this is their truck that they have done. This is just a rendering that came in, kind of using basically what VinFast front end looks like, and then kind of putting a truck body onto it. The truck body looks a lot like a traditional Silverado, I guess. Just kind of, flat and sleek down the sides. So we'll see what comes of that. There's really no information. I don't have any information on that other than this picture. So I don't know if they'll be built here, but we'll find out. I'm guessing these are probably going to be 2025, 2026, just like most of the rest of these ones are. This is by a company here, but I have never heard of in my life. I just was like, where is this and where did it come from? This is a SsangYong electric truck. Now, I don't know where it comes from, but it's definitely from across seas. That's all I can tell you. And I don't know. It looks like a weird little truck. It looks like something they probably would just be cruising around in Australia or in the backwoods or jungle or something like that. Um, but this is supposed to be the second half of 2024. So we should see some more of this. Now, these also don't say whether they're coming to the US or not. So, um, that's where we're at on that. So let's go to my last one. So this is the last one that I have here, and I haven't heard a lot from Mitsubishi, but this is going to be Mitsubishi's Triton EV. Now, apparently, I don't know if they build a Triton right now that's across seas, but says the Triton EV, and we should get more info on it in 2023. So, it looks like a nice little truck. Mitsubishi, they have some good vehicles. They've made some good vehicles. I don't know the quality on all of them, but the Eclipse was really popular here. The Galant was pretty popular. Um, the GT 3000, was that right? Mitsubishi GT 3000? Is that right? That sounds right. I think so. That was a really cool car and a really fast car. Uh, but that's all I have on those. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed seeing those. Um, but that's all I've got for news. If anybody's got any questions, pop them down in the chat, and we'll go over more comments on any of those trucks. Anything we've talked about already. Also, if you got anything else that you want to talk about, um, we're good to talk. So, um, oh, yeah, the Rivian reaction video that was pretty good. Uh, um, yeah, I enjoyed that. It was my wife. It can be pretty entertaining, and I don't know if anybody noticed, but I was trying to zoom in on my son's fiance in the back seat, her face. So that was pretty entertaining. If you guys haven't seen, if anybody's here hasn't seen the video, it is linked down in the description. So go down there and you can watch that. And I think all the Rivian content is down there right now. So hope you guys have been enjoying that. Um, So we've got Silver North says, is anyone making a two-door long bed? For EVs, not right now. When they start making these dedicated platforms, they're going to be able to start making more adjustments on things. Like I think Ford has mentioned that with their new platform, they would be able to do different body configurations, but with the Lightning, they went with one single configuration because it was easier to produce because they're basically using the whole an F-150 and just making it electric. So that they already had the panels, the bodies, and all that stuff stamped and everything. When they go to doing these new platforms and trying to put this stuff together, they're going to have to re stamp everything. They're going to have to build new body parts and stuff like that. So um, hopefully they will get a lot more configurations because I'm not a fan of a 5.5 foot bed necessarily. If it's on a small truck, that's one thing, but to have a full size truck and have a 5.5 foot bed, it's not me. I mean, my F-150 is a extended cab with a 6.5 foot bed. So at least with 6.5 feet, I can get most things in there, and or I don't have it hanging way out over my tailgate. Uh, so that would be my preference. I would love to see an extended cab with a 6.5 foot bed. But there are going to be work. I would assume they would want to make work trucks with 8 foot beds because that's what workers are hauling around sheets of drywall and everything. Why wouldn't they want to make it long enough to hold 8 foot wood, drywall, OSB, that type of stuff. So I think it'll come eventually. Just they're trying to meet the majority of what people want. Um. So yeah, my wife, yeah, she seems great. Yeah, yeah, Kaylin in the back, she is not um a motion person. Like she doesn't like roller coasters. She won't ride them. She makes her sick, stuff like that. So, yeah, I saw her in the back going, yeah, and I was like, oh gosh, I got to zoom in on that. Of course, zooming in on that and replaying it, right afterwards also made it to where my wife's laugh going, ha 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 ha, 3 times in a row. That was I thought was funny, and I thought she was going to say something about it, but she didn't. She actually thought the video was great. She loved it. So, um, yeah, everybody basically says when you take off in those things, it makes you feel like you just like the drop off of a roller coaster. It's just like your stomach, everything gets pressed, and the G forces are crazy. Uh, so hopefully, we got that video. I think that may have been the last Rivian video today. There is one of my wife driving, and I might go ahead and edit it and get it put up. But it really wasn't a whole lot going on because she was just kind of driving and I was talking to her and trying to ask her questions and stuff, but she was so focused on driving this truck that there wasn't a whole lot of commentary going on or nothing really informative, just kind of conversation and stuff like that. I still might throw it together and put it up, but the Rivian, that's probably the last one on the Rivian, and then the next set of videos are going to be on the Mustang GT Performance that I had. And yeah, the Rivians, yeah, you're going to be seeing them around. Are producing more and more all the time. And they were able to fix their interior issue that they were having, and then they were able to really start pumping them out. And they are expected right now to hit their goal of 25,000 by the end of this year. So if they do that, and then maybe they can ramp up to 50,000 next year, you might start seeing a lot more on the road. And I think reservations for those right now are sitting at just over a year. They may be better than what it was before, but I think everybody's kind of sitting out about a year approximately. But yeah, we've got videos coming on the GT Performance. This car was crazy. It's fast. It's not the same as the Rivian, but it's got a pretty good punch. It's about half second slower in the 0 to 60, but you really wouldn't know it. It will spin the tires when you take off. Also, they'll chirp a little bit. Easy to walk away from anybody that you need to. Suspension's great. Handling is awesome. My brother has one in cyber orange, and he loves it. He's had it since he's had it for well over a year, about a year and a half now, I think, and he loves it. So those videos will be coming. Probably the first one maybe this Friday. We'll get that up and get those started. Don't have as many of those as we did the Rivian, just because we didn't record like we did with the Rivian. The Rivian, I had a camera going, and we spent the whole day just driving around doing stuff. So I was making I was able to take all that footage and make it into a couple different videos instead of just one. Um, there are, yes, we should have. There is more coming on the Rivian. I am sorry, I forgot to tell you. My wife, not only did she drive the Rivian, but her this Friday, her video will be going up. She did a walk around and review of the video of the truck also, just like I did, except my wife is an artist, so she likes the styling of things. So she talks more about the styling of the truck and the little things that she likes, and points out a few little things that details that I don't, and she doesn't get technical into the stuff. She just kind of likes to show you cool things and like a lot of stylistic things. So she'll have that video will be going up Friday. I forgot. I got that one ready. It'll be going up Friday. And just in case anybody doesn't know, memberships are available, and if you get into those memberships, then you do get to see the videos before everyone else. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing, to go ahead and get signed up for that. There's 3 different levels. And if you're not subscribed to OSR Garage, go subscribe to OSR Garage. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? Mikey says, I'm going to use that video. Try to get my friends to pre order one. They want something with more towing than the ocean. Yeah, spread that video around. Send that video to everybody. I need a video to blow up. I haven't had one blow up for a while, so let's get that reaction video popping. So yeah, send that to everybody you know. Share it wherever you want to. um, it's a cool truck. I really would love to. I would have loved to kept that truck. The color was not my color preference, but it did look good, especially with the black rims. Um, so I definitely would have kept it if I would have been able to keep it. I'm not sure what we've got coming up next, because I was actually supposed to get a Model 3 and ended up with this Mach E instead. So last weekend, the Model 3 that where I was getting it from, they had an appointment on it, so I wasn't able to get it. And the Mach E GT popped up and on their at their dealership, and I said, "Yeah, I want that." So they gave me that for the weekend. It was funny because it was actually the owner of the dealership's car. He ordered it for himself. He drove it for 2 weeks, took it back to the dealership, didn't want it. Decided he didn't want to pay to put a charger into his garage, which there's salesmen there that have paid to put electric in their garage to for their electric cars. So apparently he didn't want to, didn't, and it wasn't charging it up fast enough at the dealership. So he just decided sell it. So um, it's another car that I would have liked to kept, except it this one priced out just under $72,000. That's a little pricey for me. Our ID.4 was 45 and basically has everything this has, other than it doesn't have the power that this has. That's the only downfall. The ID.4 drives great, comfortable, road handling, everything is really good on the ID.4. It just doesn't have the power. Um, so a $30,000 or $40,000 trade off in power is just not worth it for me. That's why we were looking at the Fisker Ocean Ultra, because that's just about $5,000 more than what we paid for our ID.4, and we're going to gain about 300 horsepower. So we're going from 201 horsepower up to 540 horsepower and 100 miles more of range. Now we probably will be at 55,000 or somewhere in that range once we find out how much the extra options cost, because we are going to want the winter package. We're also going to want we're probably going to get the full ADAS system. We're going to pay extra for that. There's a few other little things. I don't know about the audio. We'll see how the audio goes, and then if we decide we want something, more powerful, then we will. But like we said, everything is supposed to be there. Um, so yeah, this weekend I will be getting. I got one of. I gave them a list of four I'm interested in getting this weekend, and we'll see what happens. One is the Model 3 Performance. It's a 2021, so it's a little bit older, but I've never had a Tesla, never driven a Tesla, and I thought it would make some good videos. And then they have their sister dealership has a Ram TRX. So I've got that on my list. I also have a new Ford Raptor on my list, and then the Ford Lightning. So they always have Lightning coming in. They're a pretty big dealership, and they've got several on order, and they've got some at the dealership right now. So they said, don't worry about the Lightning, although I'll be able to get one whenever. So try to focus on ones that I may not be able to get later on. Like I don't know where I would get a Model 3 to get somebody to let me have it for a weekend. So that's the plans there. So you guys will find out probably next Sunday what I ended up with. I'll probably pop a picture of it up here, but about that time we'll be starting to getting into the Mach E GT videos. And again, memberships get to see the videos for everybody else. So. That is all that I've got this week, unless somebody has something in the chat. We are going to wrap it up. Thanks for being here with me. I hope you guys got to see some new electric trucks that might be coming to market. Maybe you saw something you liked. Probably saw a lot that you didn't like. But I am going to sign off for tonight. Everybody that was here, thank you for being here. Everybody who's watching this on the replay, got any questions? Leave them down in the comments. And that is all I've got for you. I will see you later.